In the meantime, tonight, America's fingers are crossed. Aerial searches of the 3 missing hikers continue, even as high winds force rescuers off the mountain. And a Heartland exclusive with one of the contestants who competed against the current Miss USA. What went on behind the scenes, and a holiday-themed slasher film released on Christmas. Find out why some are outraged by its content and the day of its release. First, though, the latest from the dramatic search on Mount Hood. High winds, poor visibility forced rescue teams to descend the mountain tonight, ending the day's land search. But the massive search and rescue effort continues in the air, with heat-sensing aircraft scanning the mountain for signs of life, probably throughout the night. Anita Vogel is live on the ground in Hood River, Oregon, and we're also joined by a former mountain rescuer who has performed a very similar rescue on Mount Hood, Matthew Weaver. Anita, tell us, they called off the search. What were the conditions?
Right. Well, you know, John, of course, the weather was much better today than it has been over the past week, but, you know, not good enough for those searchers to have ideal conditions up there. At the top, near the summit, the winds were gusting up to 60 miles per hour, and the degrees was 0. The searchers made it up to about a little past 10,000 feet, but not quite to the summit. The winds were gusting, visibility was poor, and there's a lot of snow, a lot of new snow up there that was dumped during the past 24 hours, and that's creating very tenuous conditions for these searchers because they have to be wary of the avalanche danger. So not ideal conditions, John, but certainly better than the previous week. As you mentioned, they had to be recalled several hours ago because of those poor conditions and because, you know, it's dark now and they just can't do their work in the dark. But those same ground crews are going to be back on the mountain tomorrow morning.
All right. Matthew, let's get you in here. You were involved in 3 eerily similar rescues yourself. You are a guy that rescues people off these mountains, most particular Mount Hood. Tell us about the rescue that you were involved with 3 years ago. What went on? How did it unfold? What happened?
Well, we had 5 people in a snow cave on the summit of Mount Hood, and as I understand their predicament, the weather came in a lot faster than they thought. They had a little bit of trouble getting up the mountain, and they were kind of caught in this type of a situation. The winds, while they weren't quite as strong as they were up here, gusted up to 65 miles an hour. The visibility went to near 0, and the snow basically came down hard. So they dug themselves a snow cave, crammed into it, and called for help. We were able to go up and get them, fortunately, at the time, because we knew where they were.
Matt, why is it so difficult to get up there right now? And tell us, what is it like? Take us to the top of that mountain. What is it like when wind is blowing at 130 miles an hour and the ice is moving sideways? Tell us what you experience.
Well, fortunately, I've never been up there in 130 miles an hour, but I have been up there in 60+ mile an hour. And you can barely stand. I mean, you're literally putting your head into the wind like you would see in a hurricane probably, and walking and trying to just walk up the mountain. There's really deep, fresh snow, which, as I understand today, was the same situation. Literally, you're moving at a snail's pace, trying to almost do a march up through that heavy snow. It tires you out very quickly, and you're getting colder as the moments go on because that wind is just taking all the heat out of you. Plus, on top of that, you have avalanche conditions, which, you know, you have to think of rescuer safety first. If a slide happens and takes a bunch of rescuers,
tell us about that. Tell us about that, Matt. These avalanches. So how does it happen? Right. I mean, in other words, they were up there hiking a week ago, no threat of avalanche. Then does just the amount of snow that piles up, if you step the wrong direction, it creates a vibration. You can get buried. How does it work?
Right. Well, the Cascades have variable weather conditions. We get a rain crust that develops, which happened earlier in the week before that they were up there. And then we've had these really cold conditions, and all the snow that's deposited there is what we call unconsolidated. And very little winds themselves can deposit even more snow on top of that. And if you've got people that are walking onto that snow, it can create enough vibration and enough movement that that whole side of the hill can slide. The pitch of the mountain in those upper areas above 10,000 feet is up to 35 degrees. That is perfect angle for creating an avalanche like this. And you don't want to have a bunch of your rescuers get killed in the process of trying to find these people. Exactly.
Anita, you know, there has been some compelling stories of families, especially the wife of one of the climbers. Just incredible interview that she did. Have you seen the family today, any of the families today? What are you hearing?
We have seen the families today, John. They gave a press conference this morning. We heard from the mothers of the 3 men who are missing, and they gave extremely emotional interviews to the media, talking about their hope and their faith and how they are confident that their sons can still be found alive. One of the women said that she knew her son was coming down today because, in fact, today was her birthday, and her son would never forget her birthday. Another woman said that she and her son made a pact that when he went hiking, they would always look at the same moon together every night, and that last night she looked at the moon. So these women still have a great hope that these men can still be found alive. They reiterated the fact that all of them are very experienced mountaineers and climbers who know how to survive these conditions. So the families are still very hopeful.
Matt, I mean, I don't want to be pessimistic here, but when you take the wind, the cold, the snow, the ice, and they were, you know, they had some tents, obviously, they had some sleeping bags. I mean, it's one thing to survive for a couple days, but 7 days now, going on 8 days.
Well, you know, there's been a lot of news reports about the people that survived 30 years ago for an extended period of time on the mountain. And as a rescuer, you always have to be positive in your own mind that those people are still out there alive. However, reality is that the longer this goes on with the weather conditions the way they are up there, I mean, it's 0 degrees near the summit, and before that we've had incredibly bad weather. Yeah. The chances of them surviving goes down day by day, but we have to hold out hope that they are alive.
Matt, those rescuers, and I know you brought some implements tonight, you can show us how you climb. Why don't you tell us what you have with you tonight?
Sure. Well, this would be your basic ice axe right here. And it is something that you use to keep yourself stable and basically head up the mountain, make sure that you're able to put it in the snow, keep yourself stable, and if you were to happen to fall, that keeps you from falling. You'd have to dig in the ice axe into the ice. There's also this shovel here. This is a basic implement that really needs to be with you in a wintertime situation, because if you need to dig yourself a snow cave, you need to have that with you. It's very light but sturdy, and it also breaks into 2 pieces so you can take it with you in your pack. Additionally, this is a bivy sack. This is a pretty basic one right here. It's a Gore-Tex or some other similar fabric pouch that's about as big as your body, and you slip into it along with your sleeping bag to keep yourself dry. The biggest thing right now is when people are cold, you can maintain some body heat, especially in a snow cave. If you get yourself wet, however, the chances of you maintaining your warmth is pretty low, so you need to keep going. Additionally, like this would be one of your high-tech down jackets right now. It actually packs down to something this small, and it's very light. It's, you know, maybe a few ounces to a pound at tops. So you can pack a lot of gear for winter survival in your pack and still go light and fast, which is supposedly how they were going.
Anito, tell us about these airplanes now. Are they circling now with the heat sensors? Do they have the unmanned drones up there? What's the latest on that?
Right, John. The only vehicle that will be going basically in 12-hour shifts, basically 24 hours, is the C-130 transport plane, which has been reconfigured to carry these heat-sensing cameras. They're infrared cameras, and they've used this technology in the Iraq War. They've used it in the recovery efforts for Hurricane Katrina. And so these planes will be up overnight, and if they find something, the downside is that if they find something, it may be hours before they can get somebody to check it out.
All right, thank you, Anita. And Matt, listen, I know what people like you do. You've saved lives on that mountain before. I know you're going to do it again. Let's keep our fingers crossed, and God bless those families. Thank you. Up next, the Heartland exclusive.